Hey, folks, what's going on? It's Evgeny from Day One Careers, and today we're starting yet another weekly show. I missed the previous one as I was on holiday chasing the sun, but I am back now, and hopefully Gigi will join us today soon as well. But before we get into the main bit of the show, let me first introduce myself. So, as I mentioned, my name is Evgeny, and together with Gigi, we run Day One Careers. Gigi is joining now, and yeah, hopefully we'll run this one together with her.
Hello.
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 Sorry, I'm not wearing my branded T-shirt. I'm in a co-work, and there's
Uh,
nowhere to change here.
You mean you wouldn't wear your branded t-shirt just out and about on the street? Is it not cool? I mean,
It's very
well,
cool.
we don't get set for your kids.
See, I'm turning red, from my bald head all the way down.
Oh
Very red.
dear. Oh dear. Right. Right. We've got quite a big audience already.
Yes, we do. Yeah, already
Excellent. That's
17 people are watching this.
exciting. Because it's been quite quiet over the past couple of weeks. Obviously, you abandoned me for a couple of weeks, but it has been quite quiet because of the summer vacation and stuff. So,
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and sometimes you need to take a break, and so do our candidates.
yeah, well, I was a little bit lonely, but there we go. Right, right. Oh, where am I now? I'm totally lost on my screen. There
Day
we are.
day one
Right.
day one careers weekly Amazon interviews
So I've got
questions and answers show.
who am I? What's my name? All right. Okay, so will I introduce myself then and we can get rocking?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right, so I'm Gigi. If you're here on the YouTube live, no doubt you've seen a lot of me and spent a ridiculous amount of time with me. So for that, I apologize deeply. You probably spent more time with me than your family recently, so I do apologize for that. I was a senior leader at Amazon for just over 5 years, and most useful for you, I think, is that I was also a bar raiser. Have you Did you share how we got into this whole thing, Yevgeny, or will I do that?
No. I just started to
Said hello.
introducing myself, and then you graced us with your appearance.
You're a naughty boy. Right. So, how Yevgeny and I got into this whole gig. So, we were both at Amazon at exactly the same time, and we did not know each other, although bizarrely, we think we were sat on one. I think I was on the floor above Yevgeny, but we're both kind of independently doing all of the interviewing as one does as an Amazonian. All Amazonians who are kind of corporate will find themselves as part of the interview process, either for their own team or other teams. For myself, and Yevgeny, maybe you can speak for yourself in a second. Whilst I was doing the interviewing and in particular bar raising, I noticed that there were some candidates who were just so obviously better prepared than others. They knew the lingo, they knew what to say, they knew what not to say, and they had obviously had somebody giving them a little bit of coaching. I started to look into it, and at the time, which was like, oh, probably about 3 years ago now, it was pretty pricey in order to get yourself a skilled Amazon interview coach. And I decided I was just going to give away a whole ton of free content because that seemed unfair to me. So I created originally this YouTube channel under the brand of the Amazon Interview Wiz and started pumping out free content. I then left Amazon and set up my own little kind of business, doing pretty much the same thing, selling digital courses. I don't think I was doing one-to-one coaching at that time. And then I met Yevgeny. You can tell them your story now.
Awesome. So rewinding back before I met Gigi, so I was at Amazon for slightly shorter period of time, just over 3 years. Was also a senior leader. I worked in the marketplace, so 3P marketplace, and then in Amazon devices as a category leader. As all Amazonians, I was a prolific interviewer. I was not a bar raiser, but my journey into this whole Amazon interview preparation started when, similarly to Gigi, I started noticing that some candidates were amazingly well prepared. And what I also noticed is that the preparation often had little to do with the actual content of their resume. So you'd have some candidates who had great resumes, who were amazingly well prepared and those candidates who weren't. And needless to say, those who had great profiles but also invested time and effort into interview prep, they did really well. What I also did is I tested a hypothesis on whether it's actually possible to coach someone to prepare them for interviews. And so what I started doing is whenever I met someone with a great and relevant profile who would have struggled to get past the first phone screen with me, rather than recycling their profile, I would actually progress them to the next phone screen. But I would offer them some live coaching right there in the call, which was a bit cheeky and not necessarily by the book. But then, interestingly enough, some of these candidates ended up making further progress into the Amazon interview process, and some ended up getting jobs. And so I thought, you know what, actually preparing candidates for Amazon interviews is possible. And so first I started coaching, and I started doing it just shortly before I left Amazon. Then I launched the Amazon, the Day One Careers brand, and with some courses, similarly to when Gigi was launching her previous business, the Amazon Interviewers Academy. I did this as a side gig while I was at Apple, helping Apple with setting up their channel e-commerce business in developing markets. And then I believe someone who we both helped at the same time, said to us both that we have to talk to each other, and then the rest of history. Here we go,
Yeah.
combined Day One careers.
Yeah. So we have our own little kind of business, Day One Careers. We offer digital courses for Amazon interview prep and actually non-Amazon interview prep, but we won't go there right now. We obviously have this extensive YouTube channel, which, 188 videos now. And we do these live sessions. So the way these live session works, very simple. All you need to do is pop your question here in the little bar on the right-hand side. We will scroll through, pick questions, and answer them. Couple of requests for you. Please don't ask us really generic things like, "Hi, Gigi Evgeny, I've got a program manager interview tomorrow. Any tips?" Because I'll say, yes, we have 188 videos of tips on the YouTube channel. Please go check them out. Equally, the other side of things is please don't ask us incredibly specific questions about your kind of technical questions that you might be asked in your particular job skill family interview, because there are, I think, over 10,000 job families now in Amazon. No 1, 2, 3, or even 4 individuals can be knowledgeable enough at that level for that many job families in terms of exactly what technical questions are going to be asked. So please don't ask that either. Anything in between, generally, we find we are able to answer. So we're going to do that now. So why don't we get going? Have you seen anything you wanted to pick yet, Yevgeny, whilst I was
Well,
blubbing
we've got
away?
a we've got some commendations here and some folks coming to say hello and telling us of their offers. And yes, we do have a question. So why don't I pull up the question and then we can take it from here. So this one is from Atif, who says that he cleared the loop a month ago. However, no offer so far. He was approached by a recruiter and never applied on the portal. Okay, yep. So someone sourced you. Will your details still be on the system and visible to to other hiring teams? I'm just going to remove this question because otherwise you can't see half of my face. Apologies. I was born like this. My head's big. And also the camera
Camera's
angle's
very
weird.
close. I think it's got
I
anything to
know.
do with the
I
size of
can't.
your head. This is where the camera
Anyway,
is.
so your details will be on the system. Your details will be on the system, and but this is nothing for you to be concerned about. The minute you register yourself in the system, your profile's there, and then your interviewing history is there, and that's absolutely fine. In fact, I think most candidates whose profiles I have ever reviewed and then interviewed and hired would have had some sort of history with Amazon. And some of the history even gets generated without you actually having to do anything. So as soon as, for example, once you've made an application under one role, but then a recruiter for a completely different role thinks that your profile might be relevant, and what they do is, quote unquote, they tag you against that role, and so your profile gets into a review queue to the hiring manager, and then from which case they may think that this person is relevant or even not relevant. So nothing for you to be concerned about. Yes, your details are in the system, but it's all fine. They're being handled well, so don't worry about it. Keep applying to the roles that are relevant to your profile, and I'm sure if your profile is relevant, they're going to pull you for an interview. Anything to add, Gigi?
Only that I was a little bit confused by the actual question itself because it said that you cleared the loop a month ago, however, no offer so far. And that confused me a bit because
Ah,
when you say you cleared the loop, what do you mean that you cleared the loop? Has a recruiter called you and said, yeah, we're inclined to hire you and now we have to find you a role? That might happen if you're an SDE and you're working on a pooling rec. That's a little bit unclear to me. But either way, the point is, if you believe that you've got an inclined offer for Amazon, firstly, keep contacting your recruiter. Like, don't just sit and wait and hope someone contacts you. Take ownership of the situation and make contact with your recruiter. Clarify if there is, in fact, either them on the hunt for a role for you because you've gone through some kind of pooling rec, or whether you were inclined, but the job has actually gone to somebody else, which happens occasionally. If it's the second, then exactly as Yevgeny says, you need to keep on applying and maybe just let that recruiter know that you've applied for other roles. But it's slightly different depending on exactly what you mean by clearing loop, but no offer yet. Maybe you can type a little bit down there later. Thank you. My food delivery has just arrived. Thank you, sweetheart. Maybe just clarify for us a little bit below which exact scenario you're in, and then we're better able to advise you. Okay, so right, I'm going to pick these that you mentioned earlier because it's always nice to be able to congratulate people. So we'll sit up here. You need like bring cushions next time, and then you can sit higher up on the chair. Right.
so I steal them from my children.
George Torres. Oh, I think I remember you from maybe last week or the week before. So, oh, right. Yes. Oh, of course I know you. Right. So you are one of our day one careers people and you got an offer. Yay. Congratulations.
Congrats, Jorge.
We would love a testimonial for our website. So I think you can probably go to the website, can't you, Yevgeny, and just click a button to say, I want to do a testimonial. Can we do that?
Yeah.
Or do we have to send you a link?
I need to add that button. That button is not yet on the website.
It's not on the website. Okay. Ping us on Discord. We'll send you a link and we would be super grateful for a testimonial. Congratulations. We both wish you a fantastic Amazon career, if I don't mind me speaking on your behalf, Yevgeny. Right. Okay. Right. So I cheated, so I'll do one that actually requires an answer. So MK. I think we've been in exchange, haven't we, on YouTube? You've put some comments in on the YouTube videos and I've replied. I recognize the MK. So could you please explain on STAR? Okay, so I think what you're asking me is to explain the STAR model. I don't know if I have a video about that, although I do. I think it's called the Hidden Amazon Leadership Principle, which is a roundabout way of getting you to STAR. However, STAR is a structure that Amazon likes to recommend that its candidates use in order to be able to answer behavioral questions. It basically creates a really simple blueprint for how to tell a clear story so that your interviewer can follow you, right? That's why they do it. It's to help candidates avoid talking in circles, right? So first bit, S, situation. So helping your interviewer just understand the basic context of what you're about to say. So, what company were you working at? What job were you doing? Broadly, what your responsibilities, that type of stuff. So just that they can land you in the world, basically. Then you need to tell them what's the problem. Like, what's the problem or the opportunity that you're setting yourself up to talk about in the rest of your story? So what is the situation? Once you've established the situation, then the T bit is the task. Okay, so now we all understand what the problem here is. What have you decided that the task you're going to set yourself? What are you going to try and achieve in order to be able to solve this problem or leverage this opportunity or whatever it is? And you can literally say, I know Yevgeny's not a fan of this, whereas I am. You can literally say, so I decided my task was, or maybe, so I decided what I was going to do was blah, blah, blah. And you set yourself up your intention, put it that way, your intention. A is actions. Right, now tell me what you did. You set yourself up a task. You've told me what you're going to try and achieve. Now tell me everything that you did to achieve that thing. So what actions did you take? And then the R is super simple. What are the results? So Amazon likes data. It likes to be able to see that you've had a impact on your business. So wherever possible in your result, don't just say, and the customer was very happy, or and I delivered the project for the customer. What Amazon wants to hear is, okay, let's put some numbers on this. Okay, so I delivered a $1.9 million project for this customer, and they were so delighted that they decided to sign up to some additional services worth another $200,000. I made that one up on the spot, but hopefully that's an illustration of what result looks like. And that's it. Super simple.
Great. That's
Anything to add,
amazing.
Yevgeny?
No, not really nothing to add except for um, we know that from our experience, some candidates misunderstand the T part of the star. When they say task, they think, well, someone should have given me a task. And so what I hear in interviews, in coaching sessions, is that um, folks are trying to verbalize it as well. And so my manager gave me the task. No, it's exactly as Gigi presented. So I decided. So make sure that it's something that it was your objective that you've put for yourself. It might have been a top-down objective from the CEO, no problem. Everyone in this world has to chase objectives that are being set down by the hierarchy. But in the way that you present it is I've decided that I needed to achieve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then in the results you need to make sure that you address the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that you've achieved it. That's all.
Cool. Right. I'll let you pick one now.
Cool. All right. So here's a question that says, got shortlisted and having first phone interview screening coming up. Where do I start from? So I'll give you a general outline in terms of like how I would map out your prep plan, and then there's plenty of resources that you can get after to do that. The first thing that I would do is I would start preparing your motivational cell or motivational statement, or in other words, how are you going to answer the question, why Amazon? The second thing is you need to prepare to bridge your professional profile in your resume to the job description. In other words, you need to prepare a cell on like what experiences and accomplishments that you have to date have prepared you to completely smash this new role out of the park, the one that you were applying to. And then you need to start learning about Amazon's leadership principles, and specifically kind of the main themes within the leadership principles that Amazon is keen to test you on. And you also we highly recommend that you just learn more about Amazon in general, in terms of their culture, their quirks, how they work. It's very peculiar, strange, in a very positive sense, company to work for. We absolutely loved it, but it's not for everyone. So you need to really get yourself into the whole world of Amazon speak. How do you go about getting these things done? Well, as Gigi mentioned, we've got a YouTube channel that's got plenty of guidance that you can lift. There's also a blog which you can access through blog.day1.careers, literally. And obviously, if you want to go in depth and leave no stone unturned in your prep, then we highly recommend that you invest in one of our prep courses. For example, Amazon Interview with Complete. So far, we haven't had a person who would have regretted that decision. But I think that's kind of the general outline. Would you agree, Gigi? Anything to add?
Nope, nothing to add.
Coolio.
All right, so I just want to give Dustin his day in the sun here. Oh, Dusty. That's a bit of a disturbing image there. You're slightly disturbed by that image. I have to say I am.
It reminds me of this character Cthulhu, or I don't know how you call it. It's like from a fantasy world.
Okay.
But no, I
I'll
think
have
it's a
to
reference to some fantasy world stuff.
I'll have to Google that. Okay. Anyway, Dusty, congratulations. Thank you very much for letting us know, and I'm delighted. We wish you a fantastic Amazon career.
Amazing. New Amazonian, well done.
Right. So now I need to get to a question. So I keep doing that to you, don't I? I was like, oh, I'll just take the ones where people are saying thank you. Where was it? I did spot one. She said, this was it. KK. Kiki. Okay. You're already an Amazon employee. I love it when Amazon employees come to the YouTube channel because it makes me feel not that everyone else isn't special and not that I don't love and appreciate everyone that uses our channel, but the fact that Amazonians come and prep for their internal Amazon interviews using our channel, I think says something about what we have to offer. So you've had some loops already. Okay, you're keen to email your interviewers with some additional data points you didn't manage to say. What do you think? All right. So if you were an external candidate, I would give you a different response. But here's my response as an internal candidate, and then I'll tell everyone why I would give them a different response for an external candidate. And maybe I should do it the other way around. I'll do it the other way around. If you're an external candidate, I would say to you, don't bother. Amazon is very, very clear from a policy point of view that the data that they can use to make a decision on you has to be gathered in interview. All right. Anything that you send out in follow-up emails, it will not be counted in the interview. And therefore, I would say you're wasting your time. You had your opportunity in interview, and I'm afraid the door is now closed on giving extra data points. Now, that's an external candidate bit of advice. Internal candidate, I think the reality is, maybe this is unfair, but hey, I'm just giving you the benefit of my experience. I think the reality is that internally, there's a little bit more wiggle room in terms of the data points that will be accepted. So, for example, in debriefs for internal candidates, you would also accept data points that you have captured from their previous managers. That would be a relevant data point because you know you can trust it because they're an Amazonian. So you will consider those data points. I've never actually sat in a debrief for an internal candidate and had someone pull out an email and say, oh, the candidate forgot to give me this information, but they followed it up with an email. Let's consider this. Never had that happen. But I don't think you've got anything to lose by sending over an email to that manager just to say, oh, God, I forgot to say this. I meant to mention it to you. Can't promise that they'll actually use it, but I think from an internal candidate's point of view, it's worth a go in a way that it would not be worth a go for an external candidate. Would you agree, Evgeny?
Yeah, totally. Totally. Makes
Cool.
sense.
Awesome. I hope that was helpful. Good luck.
Next question here from Christian, who did not pass the loop. And the question is, how does Amazon track that you applied in the past? Is it through your email address? It is through your email address and a whole bunch of other signals. So even if you decide to use a different email address, as soon the system will have a way to connect to your applications through your internal profiles. So I'm guessing this relates to what some candidates are trying to do, and that is if there was an unsuccessful application or an unsuccessful loop, they are concerned that this somehow counts against you, and so they're wondering if you're using a different email address, then you can apply from a clean slate. So that doesn't work. And what technology they're using, I have no idea. I'm assuming it's some sort of AI algorithm, but in this day and age, it's not that difficult to do. The thing is, you shouldn't be concerned about it, right? Like there's half of the world that applies to Amazon, right? Seriously, it's a massive organization. It's got a ton of roles that span multitude functional areas. It's only normal that there's a lot of applications, right? From a lot of folks, a lot of professionals in different areas, and getting rejections in Amazon interviews is something that happens. It happens to more people than you probably think. It doesn't mean that it's not going to be considered. It doesn't mean that it's completely going to be ignored, but it's not the end of the world. And in our community, we have plenty of folks who failed phone screens, failed loops, and then came back and got offers. We even have folks who failed loops at one level and then got themselves an offer at level one above the one at which they were rejected. So that does happen. So if I were you, I wouldn't worry about it. Just keep applying to roles that are relevant to your profile. And if you have a relevant profile and if you prepare well for your interviews and do well in them, then things will happen. Anything to add?
No, that'd be it for me. Great answer. I'm going to pop in this one. Gustavo. So you've got an interview for an HR position level 3, so an L3 HR, or is it? Yeah, it's hard to tell because there'll be a HR specialist 3, for example, which might be different from an HR L3. Although if you are in the fulfillment center, HR L3 would make sense, whereas it wouldn't in corporate. So you're preparing yourself for start and leadership. What else can I expect? So generally, I will tell you some thoughts on what you can expect from HR roles. Now, if this is an L3 in a fulfillment center, it's pretty junior. So this may not be appropriate, but I'll share with you. One other thing that I know that candidates who have applied for HR roles are always tested on is their knowledge of kind of, funnily enough, labor laws. So if you're going to be operating in an FC, you might just need to be prepared to be tested on your knowledge of the type of regulations, local laws / policies that are very common in your particular area. That would be part of, I guess, the functional testing, the equivalent of software development engineers being tested for coding, etc. So certainly I would be preparing myself for anything like that from a functional point of view. And then, of course, there's all the usual stuff, right? Tell me about yourself. Why Amazon? All those types of things. Walk me through your resume. You're going to have to be prepared for those types of introductory questions as well. We have really good videos on the YouTube channel that will help you work out how exactly to do that elevator pitch, the why Amazon, tell me about yourself type stuff. It's all there for you. But I think those are the three main things that you should be expecting: those introductory questions, functional questions, and then you're clearly already getting yourself prepared for the behavioral ones. Anything to add, Yevgeny?
Nope. That was all great.
Okay.
Hey, here's a follow-up from KK. I think we should surface this one because this exposes a bit of an internal Amazonian stuff. So basically, KK is currently at an L4 at Amazon and interviewing for an L5, follows the leveling guideline and tries to frame their stories in L5 behaviors. Is there anything else important that you should demonstrate? So it's interesting, Gigi, and it would be great to get your point on this, because it sounds like it sounds like the individual is trying to promote themselves before getting promoted. Because in theory, they shouldn't be demonstrating any L5 behaviors to win themselves a role that's upscopable at an L5. They should demonstrate that they've smashed the L4 scope out of the park. Then, based on that performance, they should be given a role that is at an L5 scope, and only then they need to step up, demonstrate the L5 behaviors, and in that role, that calls for L5 behaviors, and then after that, they should have a promo recommendation written for them. So I think that I'm not sure why KK is trying to do what they're doing. Maybe someone's
Yeah, some
guided them to
teams,
do it.
some teams do things differently. So operations tend to do interviews to up level, whereas
Mhm.
kind of in corporate, what our experience would have been is you get to the point where you're already operating at the level above, and then someone writes a promo case to say, look, KK is already operating at an L5 level. Now we just need to make it official, change her job title, and give her a salary increase. Whereas there are, I think, in the operations space, and maybe KK will reveal all what kind of area she's in. If you don't want to reveal too much, don't feel pressured to. Other teams do actually do interview level ups, so pods, I think they call them, in ops, to actually level up to the next level, and then it is an actual interview for the next job level when you're starting at a level below. Definitely ops focused, that one. So
But if that is if that's the case, then I would imagine that if you've got the leveling guideline for the next level role, and you can see the differences that effectively what takes you from one level to the other. And again, I don't know, KK, how updated that leveling guideline is, right? I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Some of them are incredibly outdated, but if yours is the one that's updated, then that's the only thing that I would focus on, because everything else is incredibly subjective. But at least there you're going to give some guidance.
yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the golden. Everyone would want that, right? Because that's basically these are all the things you need to tell us you can do and you have done in order to convince us that you are operating at that level. So you've got the golden nugget there. Okay, just check it out and try and identify things that you've done, projects,
Just bring data.
experiences.
Bring
Yeah,
data, because you can, again, internally, externally, doesn't matter, right? You can claim yourself to victory only with data. So that's pretty much it.
yep. Okay, hope that helps, KK. Let's move on. Um, oh, you put the link there for the testimonial. I was thinking that's my. I
I
was
did.
going to say
I did.
that's me. I was really confused. I was like, how is my day one thing there?
Gigi is still not used to us both running the channel.
No, I'm not. I'm very bad, but you'll forgive me. I know you'll forgive me because you love me.
Hmm.
All right. Uh, oh, okay. Here we go. Hey, Sarah. So you passed the loop as an EA. Very good. They said the next step is to meet and greet and congratulated you, but mentioned it's not an interview. Okay, no formal offer. Wonder if you have any insight on this or what to expect. Okay. This is interesting. So here's my thoughts, and I'd love to hear Yevgeny's. I think there's probably some parallel processing going on here where they have decided they want to hire you. They're kind of assuming you're going to accept the offer. And they're saying in tandem, what we want to do is just get you to meet the whole team, speed things up so that once you sign the offer, we get you through the door as quickly as possible and you can land as fast as possible. But what I would say is don't take your foot off the pedal when it comes to actually getting the offer. You do not have a job until that contract is signed. So keep pushing your recruiter to get a formal offer and get the paperwork through and sign that paperwork. Just meeting your potential manager and then your potential manager's manager is not a job yet. So be careful. Don't resign from your current company just because you've met your future manager's manager, right? Push your recruiter to tie the bow on the whole deal, get the paper signed, and then you've got a real job offer. That's what I think is going on anyway. Would you think anything different, Evgeny?
No, I think it's that. Yeah, I don't think this is a like a closeted or covert interview. I think
You know,
it's just if anything, it's just they're excited to to bring you on board, and they just want you to come and talk to the team while things are being tidied up. So I think it's great.
I just thought something. One thing I will say actually is, Sarah, use this as an opportunity to do some reverse interviewing, right? They've had lots of time to ask you lots of questions and decide whether they like you. When you meet these people, it's your time to do some more reverse interviewing and make sure that these are absolutely people that you want to work with, spend your time with, etc. It's almost great that you have not yet signed a piece of paper. You can do that in tandem and just be certain that you're happy and you want to take this job, and then the paperwork will come through and Bob's your uncle.
Indeed, Robert is the uncle. Okay, so we've got design, and it's a two-part question. So thank you for all the content. I have my loop for an L7 Principal UX in 2 weeks. The recruiter has been wonderful. She's going to do 2 practice interviews with you. How great on her. I think every recruiter should do this, but they're very busy. She has also already sent me the writing assignment. Is there anything particular that an L7 needs to demonstrate in the writing assignment? I would say that I don't necessarily think there's any formal, so there's definitely no like formal grading in terms of what an L7 needs to demonstrate in a writing assignment versus an L6 versus an L5. I would say that if you're coming into Amazon, and I'm speaking purely from kind of my processing of the situation, like L7 at Amazon is a big deal, right? Incredibly high profile projects that I've seen at a corporate level have been handled by L7s at Amazon, where at other companies would be directors or VPs. So the level of maturity and communication skills and clarity of thought that Amazon would expect from an L7, at least once you come in, will be crazy, right? So you'll be the one who is very quickly be expected to mentor other employees. And writing, as you know, is very a crucial skill for Amazon because that's how they communicate. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If there's going to be an L7 looking at your writing, they're gonna want to see that you can articulate your thoughts very clearly and very simply, very succinctly. So, but it's not a formal grading. It doesn't exist by levels for writing, but there you just want to make sure that you deliver a very crisp, to the point, and succinct and concise piece of writing. Don't sort of mistake this for brevity, as in don't turn in a half a pager, but it needs to be a very clear piece of writing. That's all I can add. Would you add anything, Gigi?
Only so far as to say your ability to write clearly and concisely and specifically becomes more and more challenging, a more difficult task, the more complex your story is. So, as an L7, the narrative that you'll be telling in your example will be by its nature more complicated, and therefore your ability to tell it in a clear, concise, and specific fashion, if you can do that well, you will have demonstrated the expectations of an L7, which would have been obviously different for an L5 who would have told a simpler story. So it's exactly as Yevgeny says, the assessment piece and the difference between your expectation of the L7 and the expectation of the L5 is it is causal of the complexity of the story. Your goal is still the same. That makes sense?
Makes sense to me.
Oh, well,
I hope
as long
it
as it
makes
makes
sense to
sense to
these guys.
you, then the rest of them, unfortunately, aren't on the line. So, all right. So I'm going to pick David's one here. Right. So pop this up. Dave, this is a three-parter. You know, I'm going to get to a four-parter soon. So, another Amazon interview with program user. So, hey ho, delighted. Welcome.
Well done.
So you've submitted your resume via the portal last week for a principal essay. Okay. For everyone else in the room, that's a solutions architect. Team reached out in 2 days and your screening is tomorrow. The speed they reached out to you to help me to continue is a green flag question mark. Okay, I'll answer that in a second. You're a little worried about the time candidate considered to be prepared. Okay, so is it amazing that you submitted your resume and they've so quickly got back to you? No, it doesn't reflect how amazing your resume is. It's simply a function of how efficient the team are. So they don't stack resumes and pile them all together and then compare 10 resumes. It's literally a little sausage factory. So your recruiter will have picked up your resume very quickly. And if that particular process is for the recruiter to decide if you're then going to move to screening, then that's what have happened. Or if their process is the recruiter needs to pass it to the hiring manager, and the hiring manager then decides if they want you to be screened, then your hiring manager and your recruiter are being super efficient. It's about them, not about you. That's the first part. Now, a little worried about the time they consider a candidate to have to prepare. So the fact that you're calling it a screener makes me think that the person you're actually talking to is going to be the recruiter, not actually anybody from the team itself. And therefore, you're not going to face the more challenging behavioral / technical, functional, should I say, questions interview you would if you were facing someone from the team and you were in the proper process. This is a screener where I think Evgeny was talking about earlier. Really, it's just your elevator pitch. It's maybe talking the recruiter through your experience. It's maybe telling them a story about one of your biggest, most projects that you've done recently that you're really proud of. It might also be that, well, okay, why did you submit your resume to Amazon? Right? Why do you want to come and do this job? Type of very, let's call them generic, but not as specific and intense a preparation type work that you would need to do if you were going into the proper interview process. So I would say don't fret about it too much. If it is in fact the recruiter screening, everything that you've done already in terms of just preparing your resume, knowing why you want to go and work at Amazon, hopefully you can pull all that together in a day and be in a good position to have a chat with a recruiter. Would you have assumed that, Evgeny?
Yeah, no, totally. That's what I would assume. Most definitely. All right, here's an interesting one from Lola. I'm struggling to come up with enough solid examples as my job has not been challenging and I do not have examples that allow me to shine. Do you have any suggestions to avoid recycling too much? Right, Lola. So there's two possibilities here. Possibility number one is that you are being too humble or too vocally self-critical. There is a way how you can over-egg on being vocally self-critical for sure. And perhaps you have indeed, you do indeed have the right sort of the right experiences from your career that were challenging, but perhaps your personal bar is so high, and perhaps and maybe you believe that you need to be Jeff Bezos or Andy Jassy in the making in order to have the right professional experience to qualify for Amazon, and that's why you don't believe that your job has been challenging. In which case, we can only reassure you, or we would like to throw this challenge back at you to dig deep and to see, and maybe to reevaluate some of your experiences. But it's very hard to judge where, without actually having you in a coaching session or anything like that. In case your job or your professional experience hasn't been challenging or complex or wide in scope enough for you to raise the bar at the level at which you're applying to Amazon, that the only recommendation that I can responsibly give you is to play the long game, and that is delay applying to Amazon and use the time that you have to work in other organizations and collect the kind of experiences that you will then be able to sell to Amazon. So I did this when I landed my first job at Procter and Gamble, where the hiring bar was also very high. And so I did some jobs that I wouldn't have done otherwise, just to collect the experience, then sell it to get my dream job in the dream company. But the only way for us to be able to understand which case it is, do you have the right experience, do you not have the right experience, how does it sound, is to having a coaching session. So I'm going to leave this back to you to think about it. But if you are concerned, if you generally don't believe that you've got what it takes, then I would say play the long game. Amazon's not going away anywhere. What would be your point of view, Gigi?
Yeah, no, I agree. There's no point in stepping into something where you feel that you're going to fail, because you will. It's just a fait accompli. So Amazon's not going anywhere. There are millions of jobs. They come up all the time. Get yourself in a position where you feel good about yourself. Okay, cool. I just spotted this from David. So this is following on from the one I did a minute ago. So you're talking with the recruiter today and the hiring manager tomorrow. All right, so this is a little bit different. That's a very fast phone screen interview timeline. Now, again, first phone interviews are generally not as intense when it comes to the behavioral side of things. If you're going for a technical role, if you're like a software development engineer or something like that, it becomes a bit more meaningful, because they'll tend to test you on the technical side of things in your first phone screen. So would I be telling you have to put it off? There's no way you'll be prepared in time. Probably not, if you are the type of person that has generally got I was going to use a naughty word there, got your act together and can comfortably have a chat with a hiring manager about, tell me about yourself, why Amazon, talk me through a big project that you've done recently, or walk me through your resume, because that's likely to be the direction of that interview. However, David, if you're talking to your recruiter today, I would ask your recruiter, am I going to get behavioral questions from the hiring manager tomorrow? Because if the answer is yes, you're going to be asked, tell me about a time when blah, 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 and you've had no time to prep on the leadership principles and pull together your narratives, then you might want to consider saying to your recruiter, could I have another 4 days, 5 days before meeting the hiring manager, whatever it's going to take. But I think use the call with your recruiter to try and establish exactly what the profile of that session tomorrow with the hiring manager will be. If you're not going to cover any behavioral, you're probably good to go. If you are going to get into behavioral, you might want to think about asking for a little bit extra time. Would you agree, Evgeny?
100%. 100%. I would also think that, it's from my experience, this velocity of working through profiles could indicate efficiency of the team. It also could indicate a bit of desperation on their end, which then feeds into higher efficiency sometimes. So let's hope your profile is valuable and they're desperate, and stars will align.
So before we move on, we've missed the half-hour mark on the.
Yeah, I usually remind us.
Yeah,
but I
you do.
forgot
I
to get
didn't.
too carried
Yeah,
away.
I spotted it and then I forgot about it again. So we're going to pause here very briefly. And first of all, you all might be prepared to turn down the volume. I need to sort this out. I think it's a little bit loud, so just be prepared to turn down the volume. But we have a request for you. Should we get rid of David there? Not that we want to get rid of you, David, but there we go. Right. We have a request for you. Obviously, we work incredibly hard to pull together all of this free content for you, and we do it. We want to give it to you as a gift. We want you to do well, but equally, we have to put in a lot of effort. And in return, we have a very, very small request. It's so small. I don't know why everyone doesn't do it, but what we need from you is, when you watch this video, or indeed any of our videos, please give it a thumbs up or put a comment in there. The reason we ask is that is a positive engagement signal. That tells YouTube that its algorithm is, number one, identifying the right person for this piece of content, and number two, that this piece of content is good content that people like. That then lifts us up in the algorithm and means our content surfaces above some of the really, really old and really, really rubbish content that will mislead you if you're not careful about Amazon interviews. So please, for us, for your sake, and also for the sake of everyone that's going to come after you, whenever you can, please thumbs up for every single video you watch, and maybe a little comment. I will always reply. And to give you time to do that on this particular session, I'm going to play a little video. Please, whilst I do that, give us a little thumbs up. So here we go. As I say, you might need to turn down the volume on this, so I apologize if this blasts your ears out. Put this on our sprint that I need to sort the volume of this one out, Yevgeny.
Please like the stream now. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream now. Please like the stream. 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 Like the stream.
There we go.
Oh, goody.
I always think first timers must be like, what the hell is going on?
No, this is great. So, right, where are we? Whose turn is it? Is it my turn?
Yeah, I've decided it's your turn.
Okay, great. Excellent. Right, so here we go. So, hey guys, thank you for the insightful content. I've scheduled my loop for Friday, 4 times 45-minute interviews. How many behavioral questions can I expect from each interviewer? If it is a non-tech role, typically it's 3 to 4 questions. I mean, the interviewer will probably get prepared with 4 questions, 2 per LP. How many of them you're going to go through, it really depends on how quickly the interview will go, how many follow-ups and drill downs the interviewer will have. But I would say, I'm going to say 3 to 4 questions, depending on your luck and other factors. But then again, if they decide that they want to add some sort of functional assessment to your loop, throw some functional competency questions at you, or if your role is technical, then you will have fewer behavioral questions during the loop. And this is something that my recommendation to you is, if you want to understand how your loop is going to go and how many behavioral rounds versus non-behavioral rounds you're going to have and what functional/technical assessments you're going to have, just ask your recruiter. This is the kind of stuff that they should tell you, and then you'll be able to figure out. But typically it's 2 questions per LP. That's what they're going to try to aim for. Anything to add?
Nope, nothing to add. Oh, I think Joe's got another one down there. 3 out of 4.
Ooh.
Hang on, I've just lifted that one up.
That was not a question, I think.
No, it's not. That's weird. 4 out of 4. Right, that's weird. And multiple part questions are really difficult, everybody, because they get jumbled up with everybody else's questions. So please try and avoid them if you possibly can, or have typed them up already and cut and paste them very, very quickly. Otherwise, they get broken apart. Okay, let's see if we can find another one that we can answer. Oh, I'm struggling to find one that's an actual question. Right. Christian, okay, so this is about our services at Day One Careers. So we get asked this a lot, so I thought I may as well answer it for you. So have we considered reviewing questions for a fee? Right, so what we do is we do mock interviews for candidates of our digital courses for an additional fee. But the reason we restrict it to customers of our digital courses is there's only a few of us coaches, and we want to make sure that we're available to our loyal customers. So have we considered allowing people to send us their into their examples and then review them offline? Yes, we had considered it, and actually when we were all kind of independently doing this, we all did it and independently discovered that it's ridiculously time consuming, and actually the cost to the candidate to have one of us go through their questions on our hourly rate ends up about $700 ish. because it's very time consuming. So we don't offer it anymore because it doesn't represent very good value for money for candidates and takes an enormous amount of our time. So yes, we've considered it. Yes, we've tried it. And no, we don't like it. And no, we're not going to do it. In that,
Been there.
nail on the head on that one. Okay. Is there anything else?
Yeah, I'm looking for. There's a lot of chat in the actual chat.
I love it when they chat with each other. It's fantastic. Whilst you're looking, I'm just going to congratulate Mason. What are you doing in that picture, Mason? Like, there looks like there's other bodies in the car. Is that like a pair of legs wrapped around the front seat? I don't know.
The bodies look alive. So
yeah, what's that all about?
Nothing dodgy is happening.
I love these. I love these profile pictures. They're always amusing. Right. Well done. Day 1 next Monday. That's fantastic, Mason. Congratulations. And we wish you a very, very long and very happy career. And, you know, one day, maybe if you if you become an interviewer and a bar raiser, come back and find us. You know, I'm sure we'll be like 50 of us by then. Who knows? But congrats, Mason. Or I still want to know. Can you let us know, Mason, actually? I want to know. I genuinely want to know, Mason, what is going on inside that car? As long as it's not illegal and no one could get arrested and we would not be complicit in anything illegal by knowing what was going on inside that car, please let us know below what was going on in the car.
Exactly. We don't have the Fifth Amendment claim here in the UK.
No, there's no Fifth Amendment here in the UK. So sorry, we would go to court and be witnesses against you.
No, indeed. But instead, we're gonna go and look at this question from Pet World. And so I love this picture. Look at that. It's a little cat.
That's cute. Oh, I've seen this one before. Pet World's been here before. I recognize
cool.
that. Yeah. Maybe
time.
last week when you were off.
No longer a first-time caller. Okay, so so Pet World cleared their loop interview as per informed by. Okay, so cleared loop informed by the recruiter, and then the recruiter said the position is no longer available. Yep, that happens. Very annoying. No confirmation mail was sent. It was all verbal. What should I do now? Follow up. Just keep it to sort of within kind of what's reasonable, right? So it doesn't turn into stalking, but every 3 days is reasonable.
Yeah.
Just be polite and just mention that you're very keen to understand what the next steps are. Obviously, very keen to join. They should be looking for a similar role for you, where you can just chat to a hiring manager. And in general, help you get another role because you are already pre-cleared for the same role for Amazon for, I think it's 6 months, right, Gigi?
Mm-hmm.
If it's for the verbatim role. Generally speaking, for any hiring manager for any role, having someone who's already cleared the loop, it's great because you potentially can just mini loop them in. So it's a great thing. However, your recruiter is obviously busy. So if you're not getting anywhere with your recruiter, hit LinkedIn. Ask the same recruiter on LinkedIn, and if that doesn't happen, then approach other recruiters on LinkedIn, explain your situation, and you will undoubtedly find someone who will help you. Any other tips that you would have, Gigi, for them?
Nope. It's good advice. As always, good advice. Right, I've worked out these multiple parters from Joe, so I'm going to go through them now. Okay.
Do it.
So, 2 out of 2. Is it okay to have a look at notes during the interview to remind yourself of stories prior to answering the questions? Yes, it is. We definitely have a video about this on the YouTube channel. The Amazon interview is not a memory test, right? They want to understand the impact that you've had. Therefore, if you need a few bullet points to help make sure that you articulate that, that's absolutely fine. But please just be careful. Make sure it is just a few bullet points, either on a piece of paper, in a notebook. Some people use their screen, whatever, but make sure you don't find yourself literally reading a script because they will object to that. But a couple of bullet points and just checking them occasionally. Warn your interviewer, just to let you know. I do have a couple of light notes here just to keep me on point and help me remember some of my data points. Hope that's okay. I'm sure they'll say yes, and you'll be fine. So that's 2 out of 2 for Joe. Joe's got another one down here. So I'm just going to pull those up because we're a little light on questions at the bottom. So your numbering went off a bit, Joe, I have to tell you, because now it's 3 out of 4. A minute ago it was 2 out of 2, and now we're on 3 out of 4, right? We got to be on our toes here. I mean, I appreciate you trying to keep us awake, but okay. Your first 2 phone interviews were for an IT program manager and you passed to go through loop. Then they got a call from HR asking you to consider a different role for a telecom program manager. I used to be in telecoms, FYI. As they believed your experience was better aligned to that, will it negatively impact you in any way given your initial screens were for a different role? No. Right, your initial screens did what they were supposed to do. The first being, do they feel that you are a strong candidate when it comes to potentially raising the bar on the leadership principles? Tick. They were happy to pass you through. Functionally, is this person the right fit for a role? No, doesn't feel like they're functionally the right fit, but we think they're such a good potential prospect when it comes to the behavioral. We want to give them an opportunity to apply for a role and be interviewed for a role in a skill set, functional skill set that we think that fits them better. Nothing to be concerned about, nothing that will hold you back whatsoever in the next stage of your process. Good luck. In fact, I think it's a plus, right? That you weren't a functional fit, but they liked you enough to try and find you a functional fit. That's a good sign.
That's a very good sign. That's excellent. All right. Here's a question about negotiating salary. So is 50% a reasonable percentage to ask in salary negotiation? The response to your question is that it's only reasonable in my world if their offer was so low and so unfair versus what the fair compensation is at Amazon for your role that you decided to ask for the number that is 50% on top of what they offered. Now, how do you know whether that 50% is fair or not? Well, the only way is to try and understand what the range is for the role that you're applying for and in the location where you're applying for. To understand what the range is, you've got a few resources. You've got levels.fyi, which tends to be more useful for technical roles and slightly less useful for non-technical roles. You also have teamblind.com, which is an anonymous network where candidates and current Amazonians frequently discuss their offers and try to benchmark them and see if they're being lowballed or if the offer is actually reasonable. You can also try and approach current Amazon LinkedIn and tell them that you're in the process of negotiating an offer. You just want to make sure that you're getting a fair offer for what you have to bring and versus what Amazon's ranges are. Appreciate that ranges could be confidential and you're not trying to get folks to share their current compensation details, but thereabouts is what I'm being offered fair. And then you can figure out whether your 50% increase on top of what they're offering you is reasonable or not. Anything you would add, Gigi?
No, nothing. So we've only got about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to hop through 2 because I just want to let this person know. Do we have any tips specifically for a recruitment internship interview? No, not specifically for recruitment and not specifically for any job family, because to my point earlier, there are tens of thousands of job families and it's just not scalable or within any individual's ability to be specific about advice for a particular skill set. So bring data as best you can. I know it's an internship, which means I guess you're going to be, it could be a professional internship. This is hard. Sometimes they're kind of student internships and sometimes they're professional internships. It's hard to know, but leadership principles, pay attention to them, star structure, all of the normal things, but there's nothing specific, particularly for an internship, that any of us are going to be able to tell you when it comes to particular job families. So I guess no is the answer to that. And then the other one I wanted to do was this one. And then Evgeny, I think you probably have to go and put your kids.
I do need to run in just 1 minute.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I hate my hubby. Oh, that's sad. Okay. You've made significant impacts on your current role, but not sure which one is your biggest impact. How should you narrow that down? What do you think is most valuable for an HR? So again, I can't tell you what I think is most valuable for an HR. To my point a minute ago, biggest impact. You got to use your judgment, right? You have to know from a commercial standpoint, what were the priorities of your business? What was most impactful for your business? So if you're part of reducing churn, if you're part of improving efficiencies when it comes to recruitment timelines, whatever it is, I'm not quite sure what your function was, but I'm afraid you're going to have to use some judgment. on things that you believe were big impact. And then just make sure that you articulate how you've moved the dial from here to there, and make sure you use wherever possible percentages and also absolute numbers. A large percentage of a very small number is not going to be that impressive. A small percentage of a large number could be incredibly impressive. So just be thinking carefully about the relationship between percentages and absolute numbers. But it's going to have to be your judgment call on what you think were the most important things to your business at the time. How excited was your manager for one of those deliveries versus another one of those deliveries?
All right, folks. I'm
Yeah,
disconnecting. Take care, leaving you with Gigi.
I'm going to close down now. See ya.
Bye,
Okay,
bye.
folks. So before you go, I think we forgot to mention, but we have an amazing giveaway to give you. So this is a freebie that we offer to everybody. It is a taster course for day one careers. It is all about the customer obsession leadership principle. Tells you literally everything that you need to know about customer obsession to do really, really well at that question in your interview. Okay, it teaches you about the facets of customer obsession. That's a learning model that we created at Day One Careers that makes the leadership principles so much easier to understand and so much easier to find examples to pin to. So please do go check it out. It also gives you access to our incredible, which is just on fire at the moment, Discord community, where there are 2,000 odd people who have been or will be interviewing at Amazon. They help each other out. They ask each other questions. They do mock interviews with each other. It's an amazing community. So please, even if you don't watch the course, get it, join the community, and then there will be dozens of people who are willing to help you prep for your Amazon interview. So we are done for today. Thank you very much for joining. We will be back same time next week. For those of you who secured jobs, congratulations. We feel privileged to have been able to help you. And for those of you with interviews coming up, fingers crossed. Take care. Be safe, everybody, and goodbye.